What's happening? Raul Lopez Jr. here, author, speaker, coach. I'm here with Super Mario Vasquez.
Hey, everybody.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the real estate industry right now. I'm involved in the real estate industry in two regards: real estate realtor, real estate agent, and MLO, mortgage loan originator. Mario is a realtor for 20 plus years. How long
20 years, yep.
20 plus years. So we're just talking a little bit about what's happening in the economy right now. And there's a lot of different thoughts on where the economy is going and what's going to happen in the real estate industry. And as most people know, when the real estate industry starts to drop, so does the rest of industry, right? In general, just like back in 2008. Some of you are going to remember 2008, some of you aren't. But in 2008, it was pretty rough for all of us, I think, right?
It really was. I think the difference is the banking industry's changed dramatically, and we both depend on each other. So it is actually a bigger opportunity to normalize than it was in those days.
Yeah. You're right, because they made a lot of new banking laws, right? Federal banking laws. So I mean, it's very difficult now even to get a mortgage license to do loans, where before you didn't even have to have a license. And then the banking laws in general are a lot different. So I agree. I don't think it can get that bad, but some people are projecting, right? I myself, and even while we're shooting this video, is I like to talk about how we need to create our own economy, right? Back in 2008, I remember I had properties all across the United States, California, Texas, Arizona, Florida, and South Carolina. And when that happened, I lost the majority of them. I tried to just sell them off, and I was able to sell some with a little bit of profit right at the beginning when I saw it was happening. But for the most part, I lost the majority of what I had. And then, like everybody else, I lost everything I had after that happened. So back then, I was very much involved in watching the news and trying to see what was going to happen with the mindset of whatever the news tells me, that's what's going to happen. Right? I learned over the years, the news media doesn't tell us the truth. And then we have to go out and we have to create our own economy. So that's a little bit of the discussion I want to have right now in regards to, there's a lot of real estate agents out there who are doing very well. There's a lot of mortgage loan originators who are doing really well because the rates are so low, right? So a lot of people are buying homes, a lot of refis, so it was really easy right now. So there's both real estate agents and MLOs who are right now going through it and going, what's going to happen? And I think they're going to need some help. So let's talk a little bit about your thoughts on what you think real estate agents should do right now to help them with this dip, per se.
Well, it's just like you said, Raul. At the end of the day, most consumers are watching the news. So we have to be clear. We have to be detailed with what's the affordability factor in their market. Whatever your client base is, knowing the economy or knowing what's affordable for residents. The difference in today is most people, they have more equity in their home. Mm-hmm. So it's far different than you and me when we were spread thin with multiple properties. Some, not all, had option arm. That's completely different now. Let's just say it's more friendlier to the homeowners depending on your strategy today. Option arm is still valid. It's an option. But at the end of the most important thing is to stop all the confusion, all the sky is falling news that's out there. Because if you turn on the news, it is scary. To create your own economy, though, you really have to work with professionals, work with experts. As a realtor, the three most important things is you partner with lenders that know the programs, how to help consumers, how to leverage. Secondly, work with professionals that are doing inspections for the property. Yeah. Gone are the days where they could just throw mulch and get a above asking price. That's just not happening right now. So you got to do your inspections ahead of time. You got to advise your consumers or your listing opportunities. You got to advise them with something that's more valuable and making their house more appealing than just throwing mulch in front of their house and thinking they're going to get 3-4 offers the first week.
So on the consumer side, right, the buyers and the sellers, I think that you hit it right on the head. I mean, it's don't allow the media to tell you that the world is going to end. I mean, if it's a good time for you to sell your house and you don't have to, or should I say, if it's a good time for you to sell your house and you need to, then go ahead. If it's not a good time for you to sell your house or you don't need to, then just wait. Wait a little bit, And then here's the thing that I remember that I panicked with years ago back in 2008, that if it's your home, your residence, it doesn't matter where the prices go. If you don't plan to move, it doesn't matter because it's all going to come back anyways. You're living in your house, you're paying your mortgage. Who cares where the market's at right now, right?
Exactly.
If you're investing, if you're in the industry for an income, then you have to have a little bit of different strategy. So consumer-wise, I think you're right on point. And then you mentioned it's important to work with professionals. So let's talk about the professionals now. Let's talk about the real estate agents and let's talk about the mortgage loan originators. Being in the industry, we have to be the professional. We have to stand out, right? Because there's a lot of agents, and when I say agents going forward, I'll just be talking about both loan and real estate. So being an agent right now, it was easy, like I mentioned earlier, right, in these last few years. When something like this happens, all of a sudden it's not easy anymore. So we both know statistically, a lot of people are going to drop off. They're going to go, wait a minute, how come I can't get loans anymore? How come I can't get deals anymore to buy or sell house, buyers or sellers? And then they drop off. There are people who can drop off because they do real estate part-time, and then there are people who are going to go, I can't drop off. This is my living. This is what I do. This is how I feed my family, right? Yeah. What I suggest, and we will have, this is a good discussion for ideas even as we talk, is that you have to be the expert in your industry, right? We have to be seen as the expert. And how do we be seen as the expert in our industry, in our niche, right? I think I mentioned at the beginning, I'm an author, speaker, and a coach. I'm big on sharing your story from stages. I always teach people how to be the coach and how to be seen as an expert. You can see right here, it says become an international best-selling author. Imagine being a best-selling author in a book that's called Your Story Sells. And somebody comes to you and they say, hey, Mario, I'd like for you to sell my house. Can you do it? And you start with your book and you go, hey, yeah, my name is Mario. I am an expert salesperson. I'm in this book with legendary Les Brown, and it's called Your Story Sells. So I'm an expert in this industry, and then you go on with whatever pitch you create to know, like, and trust. We're not selling anything, right? We're building know, like, and trust, and we're showing that we have an authority. If you have a presence online as a person, right? Personal branding, I talk a lot about. If you have your personal brand there, you have something that shows that you're an authority, you maybe have videos of yourself on stage, and you show this person who wants to get their house sold everything that you show as your authenticity, your authority, your credibility, it's going to be very difficult for them to find somebody else that has what you have, right?
Well, what Raul's talking about is it's changing the game from a skill base to just throwing spaghetti on the wall. And that's obviously what's been happening, not only in the loan industry, but as a realtor. The last thing you want to do right now, Raul, is start throwing money at lead programs. And what I'm talking about is like companies like Zillow. They take millions of dollars from that industry, and they're not helping you to build your skill base, because what winds up happening is you're dependent on these so-called leads that they just sold to multiple agents.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and it doesn't have to be just Zillow. It could be any lead program that's out there that's promising you these listings that are taking away your own skills or your own experience. So from that perspective, you write your own book right now by collecting vendors, by partnering with different people that are involved in the business. And at the end of the day, that's what sets you apart. Your unique sales perspectives, what you bring to the table, as opposed to, let's face it, there are some consumers out there that want to do for sale by owner. They have no idea what they're walking into. No idea. But we have a unique program specifically for them. Yeah. And you've been to one of my open houses. Generally speaking, there are people at my open houses 20 to 30 minutes before it even starts. Yeah. So that's the uniqueness that I bring to people who are interested in listing.
Right. So when you're talking to a prospective seller per se, and you're telling them how you can sell their house and why they should use you, you have various tools that stand out amongst others, right? And then you have a presence. You build a personal brand so people can see. Because I'll tell you what I've learned in various industries. I teach the personal brand, and I teach how to build the credibility and authority in various industries. And what happens that I noticed all across the board is when you're talking to somebody on the phone, it happens to me all the time, when you're talking to somebody on the phone and you set up a new call, or if you're emailing back and forth and you set up a call, every time I get on the call, I start to tell them about myself, and they go, I already know, I Googled you, right? Mm-hmm. That is so common today with online, especially depending on the demographic that you're selling or want to buy from. So they always Google you. So having a personal brand is very important. We teach that. Having the right team, right? Having the right team is very important. You want people who can support you and help you. There's too many realtors, there's too many MLOs out there who are pretty much on their own, because this is an entrepreneurial business, right? We don't work for anybody, we work for ourselves. If we're not out there hitting the pavement, then we're not making any money. So we have to do what we have to do. So, but being on a team of people who support you and help you and have these tools for you is how you're going to be successful and create your own economy right now in the beginning of whatever's about to happen. I pray and I hope that things just twist back real quick. I don't want to get into politics, but when this president leaves, maybe things will shift. So that's what I'm hoping for. I don't think it's going to last that long, but we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, economies change, administrations change, job situations change. And that's the key. When you talk about creating your own economy, it's also just recognizing there's a flow of things. There are people that are losing their jobs. There are people that are getting new jobs. Transfers are happening. Babies are being born. Marriages are happening. So inevitably, it's still real estate. People still need something over their head.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter about like you mentioned a minute ago, what's the long game? You know, if they're just looking at a flip, I wouldn't suggest now is the time to start flipping homes. Yeah. But if you're looking for something to put some roots down, and regardless of the current interest rates, if you're working with the right loan officer, what's going to happen is 3 to 5 years, you're going to refinance, everybody's going to be happy. Of course, everybody's scenario is different.
Yeah, there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of theories, and nobody really knows what's happening. There are some people, online that I follow and watch. There's some reports that I follow and watch, and I think they have a good idea, but what is a little bit scary in regards to just listening to them is if I were to just follow them. Because even if these big dip happens, when I say creating your own economy, what that means is create your own income, not based on what's happening in the current economy. You can be successful in a down. In fact, billion-dollar companies right now came out and started back in 2008. Airbnb is a good example. I don't know if you know how Airbnb started. It was 2 guys living in San Francisco, couldn't pay their rent. And they're like, what are we gonna do? We can't pay our rent. They started renting out rooms in their house by the night, in their apartment, so that they could live in their apartment. And look at now, it's Airbnb. So there's a lot of stories like that are out there that in a dip, people all of a sudden have to make money. It's like a must now. What do I do? What do I need to do? And they do whatever. We do whatever it takes to feed our family. So right now, if you are an agent, either side, loan or real estate, and you don't know what to do, I'd say reach out, because we have a lot of great tools and things that we can give you, help you with. I mean, we have offices that are free for the most part, conference rooms and everything else that are utilized that most offices won't give you for free, right? Sure. So there's a lot going on in the world. We're based in the Northern California area. There's offices all across the United States, actually. So what I'd say is, again, it's time to create your own economy. Do not listen too much to the news and what they're telling you is going to happen, because you're in charge of your own life. You're in charge of your own income. And being on the right team, meeting the right people, hanging around the right people is how you're going to be successful. What is the common phrase they say? The 5 people you hang around the most are who you are. So if you're hanging around 5 people that you're in the same industry and they're not making any money, you better go find a new 5 people.
and to the point you just made, with the recent pandemic, we're living in a more remote world. So people do have the luxury, or I should say the benefit, of saying, you know what, I don't want to live in Rio Linda anymore. I want to live in Rancho Cordova, or I want to live in El Dorado Hills, wherever they want. And they don't have to be connected to a building anymore. They can go anywhere they want. So that's flexibility. That if there's one thing the pandemic did, it allowed people a little more, I don't want to say liberty, but a little more options than just working and living within a 10-mile radius. So it gives more flexibility.
All right, Mario, you got any last thoughts?
Let's see. Tools are important. Right now is critical. Again, it's not about buying leads as much as upping your skills, upping your team, getting involved with people, like iron sharpening iron. And at the end of the day, both of you are going to rise up. Yeah. That's great.
That's great advice. Reach out and find somebody who's where you want to be, right? You can contact us through this video, wherever it's posted, or emailed, however I send this out. You can definitely reach out to us and we can help you with some of these things that we're talking about. But don't just sit there and don't just listen to the news and don't just think that you have to fall with everything. I did that back in 2008 and it was depressing and it was tough. And I for many years I said I lost everything, but honestly looking back, I gave it away. I let it go because I could have kept it. There were different things, different mindset I could have had back then, which taught me now, and that's why we're sitting here now, and that's why we're not just falling with the economy right now. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the day, and we will see you again. Bye-bye.